while while these buildings are being renovated. God also provided for us the YWCA, where our administrative and pastoral offices will move by the end of next month. So all these things were being planned and firmed up toward the end of last year, and we're very thankful to God that these works of preparation have been made to support the church's vision, which is to make a disciple-making church, to build a disciple-making church. While these developments are important, what is really front and center is our effort as a ministry, as a church, to make disciples of all the nations. And so if you remember, we have made reports to all of you that essentially in 2024, we have 3 main ministry initiatives. Number 1 was to strengthen and expand our discipleship groups in order to do discipleship amongst our membership. Number 2, it was to train the next level of leaders through monthly leaders equipping and training classes, what we call LET. And these have been ongoing now for this last year. And our last ministry initiative was to repurpose or to redesign our PM service to be more outreach oriented. And so those are the 3 main initiatives in an effort to develop or to build a disciple-making church over a number of years. All right, so I'm very happy to report, just to give you some progress on how we came along, how we have come along in those 3 areas. In terms of our DGs, we're thankful that the increase of DG attendance from 423 from the beginning of January 2024 to 474 by the end of the year. And you'll hear me later on in the report in terms of the future. By this time, this year, in May 2025, we have over 500 people now attending our discipleship groups. So this is progress. And eventually what we'd like to see is the objective of having everyone who attends and worships at ORPC to be part or at least be connected to a discipleship group for the purpose of training, for the purpose of caring, and for the purpose of multiplying. So this is just an important update. At the same time, I want to say that our PM service, if you have visited recently, basically has been reformatted. It is a bit more contemporary, but not yet very contemporary from the past. It is a congregation now mainly of new people because our AM people don't ordinarily go to the PM. So we have over 100 people, 110 people average in attendance, and these are all basically new people who have come in from the outside. And so we're very happy that we are trying to do outreach through a bit more informality to a more abbreviated service. And we also engage our worshipers in a post-service discussion because we really don't have Sunday school or other platforms in which to get to know them. And then normally we will go out to supper with whoever are willing to go with us. So this is what has been happening in the PM service. And in 2024, I think all of us realized that we celebrated our 168th anniversary of the founding of ORPC. That's a very long time. Many of you have been in this church for many years. We're very thankful to you for your faithfulness and being part of ORPC over the decades. And I'm glad to say that our membership, since I've been here, this is my 8th year now, has steadily grown over the years. Our membership in 2024 increased to 815 from the previous year of 806. So we had a total membership increase of 23 people last year. 10 of our members went to be with the Lord last year. So we had a small gain in terms of our active membership with concern. All these could not have been done without faithful leaders, including pastors elders and deacons. I won't be able to mention all the names, but all their names are listed in your report of the leaders, elders, and deacons who have served faithfully throughout many, many years now. And I just want to recognize them. Just pause, and if you wouldn't mind, put your hands together and give us a word of applause to all the lay elders who have served so faithfully in this church. Many of these people are full-time workers. Many of them serve overseas. They work overseas. And they come back to ORPC on the weekends. And they travel. And they go on committees. They do a number of things. So in other words, they really have, some have at least 1.5 full-time work, including the ministry here. And I would say some people actually have 2 full-time jobs, serving outside in the secular world, and almost, I would say, full-time here at ORPC, even as lay leaders. So we're very thankful to the Lord. And we have been, I am truly the believer in the fact that if a church can become healthy and become strong, that can only be increased or be accomplished to the extent to which we can have more leaders. In other words, the church can only go so far as the quality and the number of leaders that we have. And we have been working hard to train up the next generation of leaders, especially as ministry leaders and especially deacons. And hopefully in the future with more elders coming up. So our leadership equipping and training seminar each month has been instrumental in that building up that endeavor. I want to say a few words also about my fellow pastors, my colleagues who work with me over the years. I'm happy to report that on the pastoral front, Preacher Ho Wei Liang and Preacher Tan Hui Ru started their ministerial licensing process as of last year. Pastor Lim Chung Wei became a confirmed preacher last year. And so we have a couple more who are waiting to advance forward in their development. And we pray that these pastors can develop quicker and more effectively, and somehow the Lord will bring about even a stronger pastoral team in the years to come. We're also very thankful for our sister congregation, GPO, the Indonesian congregation. They are a ministry of ORPC. They are indeed a sister congregation of ours. I'd like to just mention that they have recorded 244 people as active members in GPO. In last year, they added 27 new members, 8 by confirmation, 8 by child baptism, and 3 by adult baptism, and 16 by transfer. So, and then we had 11 members transfer their membership to other churches. So the Lord is working also in GPO. We're very thankful to the full-time workers there, for Reverend Anton, for Reverend Petrus. And if I may ask or add, we also had a bit of a change in terms of their leadership. Reverend Petrus had been their lead pastor over the years. As of this year or last year? This year. Last year, Reverend Anton is now the lead pastor for GPO. And we're very happy with that so-called promotion, or you can say suffering. So we're very thankful to that. And I'm going to give a fuller report about the ministry of ORPC later on. But for now, I'm very thankful also, obviously, not only for the leaders in ORPC English, but I also want to acknowledge the lay leaders for GPO. And if I may ask for you to put your hands together for those lay leaders. (2024) was a bit of a difficult year. We made a lot of changes. We will continue to see more changes, a lot of preparation, a lot of challenges to come. But we're thankful to God for his faithfulness in ORPC. I'd like to now turn the time over to Elder Alvin Hui to give the English congregation report.
Thank you, Clive. I will now do a very quick summary of the rest of the annual report from page 4 to page 41. It is with great joy and gratitude that I can recount all the blessings to the churches and congregations worshiping here on this site at ORPC last year. It is with the Lord's grace that we made progress in two key initiatives in many wonderful and surprising ways. Firstly, building a disciple-making church, and secondly, the ORPC A&A project. During the year, the session focused on laying the foundation for the DMC initiative by strengthening our discipleship group ministry and the equipping training of our leaders, which Clive alluded to earlier. In place of the regular Bible for All, in short BFA, we adopted the Navigator's Design for Discipleship series, or the DFD series, to catechize our discipleship groups in faith and practice. The goal for taking a break from BFA for 1 year last year is to regroup members in the basics of discipleship and equipping members to disciple others in the basics of discipleship. We also organize our DGs into 8 DMC zones across Singapore for the shepherding, praying, caring, visiting, and overseeing of our discipleship group leaders. Leaders Equipping and Training, or LET, takes place on the 3rd Saturdays monthly. The LET serves both as a platform for training our leaders, as well as a platform to shape discipleship values, and more importantly, the culture to build ORPC into a DMC church. As we already know, a very strong and clear mandate was received from all of you to move ahead with the A&A project. Many of us also attended the A&A Town Hall meetings 2 Sundays ago after both the morning and evening services. The A&A Steering Committee, together with the Offsite Logistics Committee, Technical Committee, Fundraising Committee, Communications team, served tirelessly during the year and continue to do so even as we speak. In the spirit of one church, all the committees comprise leaders from PPC, GPO, besides our leaders. The A&A project will help ensure that our facilities continue to support the evolving needs of the lost work as we look towards making disciples of Jesus Christ our Lord. As we have benefited from the efforts and facilities put in place by our forebears over the last 168 years, we now work toward building ORPC into a DMC church as our legacy of faith for our future generations. The session, comprising ruling and teaching elders, held regular meetings in 2024. The average attendance of scheduled session meetings was 87%. The report on our pulpit ministry can be found between pages 6 and 7 of the annual report. The ministry work of the session committees, namely Christian education, congregational care, mission and evangelism, worship, church A&A project, pastoral and leadership development, are summarized between pages 7 and 26 of the annual report. 2024 was a year of purposeful growth for our Indonesian congregation. Each ministry focused on nurturing faith and fostering community. You can read their report between pages 29 and 34 of the annual report. The responsibilities for the administration, finance, and fiscal resources of the church is delegated by session to the Board of Management. Their summary report can be found between pages 35 and 41 of the annual report. The average attendance of the scheduled board meetings was 81%. We thank God for our lay ministry leaders, our pastoral staff, deacons, and elders who served the church remarkably during the year. We end 2024 with gratitude for what has been, as we saw God's fingerprints in guiding the church as we journey as we began our journey to build ORPC into a disciple-making church. Soon, we shall begin our journey to move out temporarily for around 2 years. We will trust God for all that is to come in 2025 and beyond as He transits our churches and congregations to another venue, placing a very important milestone in the history of this church. Thanks be to God. Thank you.
Before we vote, I would like to clarify basically how our church is structured and led at this point. Under session, which is the ruling board of the church, comprised of elders. Under the session, we have two, I guess you can say, bodies. One is called the Board of Ministry. Essentially, all the pastors are in there and chaired by me to oversee the day-to-day running of the church. That is called the Board of Ministry. Parallel to the Board of Ministry is called the Board of Management, which oversees all the hardware and the physical aspect of our church, including finance, house and property, investments, IT, and that body, the Board of Management, is led by no other than Elder Derek, seated next to me. And so some of you have perhaps asked, what exactly does the Board of Business or the Board of Management do? Well, they manage the resources of the church. They are the board is comprised of mostly deacons in there who head up various different departments that I just mentioned. There are also elders in there, and these are also very qualified, very good experts who serve in the areas that they have been assigned. On the Board of Ministry, we of course look to the PCS Synod and EP, the English Presbytery for leadership. So we are always accountable to a higher body. For the Board of Management, they look to the Charities Act of Singapore in guiding them in terms of how to do best practices in terms of managing the church is concerned. So I just want to reassure everyone that the people who are leading the church are very capable people, godly people who oversee different areas of the church. All right. So with that in mind, we would like to take any questions that you may have regarding the moderator's report as well as a report from the English ministry. Any questions? I believe someone will hopefully give a mic for Elsie to ask questions.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. I'm sorry, it's too loud. I refer to page 26, please. And I would like to know this support of Alice Amiga Magang from DTC. May we have more particulars on this individual?
I'm sorry, Elsie, what was the question?
I'm referring to session's approval on the support of one Miss Eliza Omega Magang from DTC for the year August 24 to May 25. Who is this individual that we are supporting, please?
Yeah, I believe maybe GPO Reverend Anton can answer that question, huh? The individual is from the GPO side.
Oh, okay. GPO is the Indonesian congregation.
Indonesian congregation.
Okay, another. Oh, sorry. Yep.
Excuse me. Just to explain that the Elisa Magang is a staff worker in the student ministry in Indonesia, and he studied in the discipleship training center. He just graduated last Friday, and we have been supporting him for the past 2 years of his studies. Yeah.
I hope that answer suffices. Any other questions?
Yes, one more, please. I'm referring to our support for our members for theological training. And I'm particularly referring to Dr. Dominic Quack, who we have been supporting, and I believe he's being supported for 3 years. And I know him personally, and I have spoken to him, and he has said that he wished to continue on for a 4th year, which is the basic duration of the course that he's attending in Sydney. And well, I understand that the church is only supporting him for 3 years because that is what the church has been doing for students who are enrolled in our local seminaries. So my question is, why is this decision when a member who is enrolled in a university overseas, in a seminary that requires the course to be of longer than 3 years, why is our church not supporting? Because we have like 600, over 1,000 in our mission funds. And if the additional year that the student does is going to be helpful for his ministry, what is the thinking behind us restricting the support to only 3 years? Yeah, that is the question. Thank you.
Thank you, Elsie. I would like to clarify that I hear your concern. Why are we restricting and not giving a 4th year support to Dr. Dominic Quack? Okay. The answer is very easy and simple. He never asked. So he came to me and asked, he says, Reverend Clive, I plan to do a 4th year at Moore Theological College. And he said, oh, okay. And I said, I'm fully in support. I said to him, I said, why don't you even come back to Singapore and do the 4th year at TTC? He decided that he would like to continue at Moore instead because he's already there. And I said, what kind of support do you need? He says he is actually okay at that time. He says, I do not plan to ask or approach ORPC for support because the original deal or the agreement was for initial 3-year support, all right? And typically, the way, and this is, I don't think is formalized, typically when someone does a MDiv degree, which is what he is doing equivalent with a BTH at Moore, is equivalent to an MDiv. We actually would like and prefer that person upon graduation, do some ministry work before you do further studies in order that you would be able to practice what you have learned and not continue in, you can say, theological theories. He said he would like to continue because it's easier for him to stay there. And he says the 4th year tacked on is actually a continuation. And I said, okay, that would be fine. And so he says, I'm not approaching ORPC for support. I then recommended him to the Synod, Scholarship Fund, which is sponsored by our Synod And I think this year they had enough slots for 10 students. The preference, of course, is to local students, since he's a foreign student. And this year they had 13, if not 14 applicants. And so the synod decided to give preference to local theological students, namely at TTC or at SBC. And so consequently, Dominic was not given that scholarship. So my quick answer to your question is that no, he did not approach us. He did not want to approach us because of the original agreement. Had he wanted to give a formal application to us, we would certainly consider it.
Would our church then consider it now that we know the background? I mean,
Definitely.
because I think he went by his gentleman's agreement in the beginning that he was told he would be sponsored for only 3 years. That's why he didn't come back.
So, Elsie, my personal question to you, since you're asking a theoretical question, would the church theoretically support him? I certainly encourage him to seek this 4th year studies, whether it is at Sydney or elsewhere or even to the United States. I personally did that. And I think if he were to theoretically apply, we would certainly, I would just say for myself, I cannot speak for other leaders, I would certainly consider it. I was the one who actually encouraged him to apply for the synod support, which was up to $30,000.
Okay, the other thing is, just want to know, is our church contributing to this synod scholarship?
I'm sorry?
Is our church, ORPC, contributing to this synod scholarship funds?
Not that I am not that I'm aware of. Here is the session, not session.
The Synod Scholarship is, we do not contribute to the Synod Scholarship. The Synod Scholarship this year is an inauguration year. The funds come from the monetization of the sale of the Synod office land up at Sophia Road, as well as Torokorau. So with the investment income, Synod decided that it is important to groom young potential members of the denomination to pursue theological education and upon graduation to serve the Presbyterian Church or the wider Presbyterian denomination. So the funds do not come from any single Presbyterian church, but from the investment income of the Synod investment.
Sorry, I bring this up because in my short stint in TTC, just a couple of months, I realized that the Presbyterian church is being minimally represented in TTC. There are so many students from Methodists, Anglicans, but few from Presbyterian. So
Yeah.
I've always thought that as Presbyterians, we also should support this scheme. And
Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely.
so
That's
that
why
is my point.
Elsie, I personally encouraged Dominic to go to TTC to do an MTH, a 4th year MTH, so that he would get a balanced view from a Western perspective, from Australia, and then for a local school's perspective. But he elected to continue at Moore because he said the 4th year would be actually a continuation, a capstone of his first 3 years.
Okay, one final question.
You said it would be only 2 questions.
No, I'm sorry. My mind is thinking otherwise now. Session also approved a love gift of 10K to Angelina Chu for 3 years in TTC. My question is, when we support our member, do we expect this member to be serving in the church afterwards? Thank you. That will be my last question.
I think in Angelina's case, Session interviewed her, and we believe she will be an asset in terms of doing ministry, staff ministry work, but not pastoral ministry work. Consequently, Session decided to sponsor her for $10,000, but encourage her to apply for the Synod Scholarship, the inauguration Synod Scholarship that I mentioned just now. So I'm pleased to inform you that she has applied for the Synod Scholarship, and the Synod Scholarship Review Panel will be interviewing her during the course of these 2 weeks. So, God willing, we hope she will qualify for the scholarship after the interview, but at this point of time, we do not know. Thank you.
All right, any other questions? If not, I think our time for Q&A is up. All right, very good, thank you. In that case, if there are no further questions, I should put the motion to vote. Please indicate your vote clearly on the voting slip by marking an X or a check next to the resolution in the appropriate column, either for or against. No abstention, please. If you are casting a proxy vote on behalf of another member, you should submit 2 separate slips, one for yourself and the other on behalf of the absent member. Okay. All right. We'll wait for the bell to toll. Wow, very long. Okay, let me go on. Resolution number 2, agenda item 3.1. The next resolution is to receive and adopt the church's management committee reports and the audited financial statements of the church and Dunman's Trust for the period from January 1, 2024 to December 31st, 2024, together with the auditor's reports thereon. These reports can be found starting from pages 42 to 108 of the annual report. Can I get a proposer for this resolution? May I have your name, please? A proposer. Elder Richard Law in the back. May I also have a seconder? May I have a seconder, please? I saw Elder Ito. All right, thank you. The motion has been proposed and seconded. Before the motion is put to a vote, our church treasurer and convener of the finance committee, Deacon Samuel Tantijanto, will give a short presentation on the financial highlights of the church accounts and Dunman's Trust for the period January 1, 2024 to December 31st, 2024.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Reverend Clive. Good morning, member and friend of ORPC. On behalf of Board of Management, I will now present the key financial highlight for the financial year of 2024. I'm going to refer going forward as FY24 for both ORPC and as well Dunman Trust. All this can be found in the annual report. So I'll start first with the ORPC. The audited financial statement for ORPC for FY24 is from 1st January to 31st December 24 and is available from page 42 to 82 of the annual report. First, allow me to provide an overview of ORPC financials for FY24, along with the comparison to 23, and this figure are available on page 49 of the annual report. So if you look at it, I'll just put it into 3 categories. In FY24, ORPC received a total income of 7.1 million, an increase of 2.7 or 61% compared to FY23. Total expenditure, or what we spent for the year, was 3.15 million, a modest increase of 30,000 or 1% over FY23. And then as a result, is a surplus of 4 million, which is about 2.7 million or 204% higher than previous year. So we give thanks to God for his abundant provision. In the following 3 slides, I will present the detailed breakdown of the revenue, the expenses, as well as church balance sheet. Detail of revenue breakdown is available on page 49, 77, and 78 of the annual report. ORPC revenue for FY24 is categorized into 3 main groups, as shown in the pie chart on this slide. Right? So the first category, collection and offering, this is the largest portion of the revenue, or about 70%. This came from the collection by the congregation and worshipper, and this total, last year we collected about 5 million. This represents about 2.2 million or 77% increase over FY23. However, if you look at the bar chart, as shown in the bar chart, right, general and mission collection for both English and Indonesia generally are lower than year on year, compared between 24 to 23. In total, for these 2 categories, for both congregations, is about 6% lower than previous year. However, the launch of the A&A fundraising campaign in, I think, Q2 FY24 significantly boosted overall giving contribution of about 2.3 million. So this is the reason why we receive about 5 million collection and offering. Second category is investment income. In FY24, ORPC earned about 926,000 in interest and dividend incomes. This is 8% or about 65,000 increase from FY23. This is obviously reflecting a favorable investment environment last year. Sundry income total is about 1.2 million, marking about a 63% increase from FY23. Actually, if you look at the detail in the financial report, the key contributor for this was a favorable fair value adjustment of 1.02 million on the investment asset. This is generally a non-cash or paper gain of all our investment. So if we exclude this paper gain from the sundry income actually slightly decreased by 6,000 or 3% year on year. Sundry income is generally represented by our love gifts. Love gift that we receive on the use of premises, the rental revenue from Holland Group property, breakfast and coffee corner sales on after Sunday morning service, as well as church camp fees. The detail can be found on page 78 of annual report. Let me quickly go through the expenses for FY24. The detail can be found on page 79 and 80 of the annual report. Right? So this is same pie chart, shows the expenditure distributed among 7 main categories. Right? The first category is ministry expenses. This represents pastoral staff, our support to the pastoral staff. total about 41% of our total expenditure, and reflects about 187,000 or 17% increase year on year. Generally, it's due to the annual salary adjustment and also the reclassification of insurance costs that previously was captured under different category. Property expenses, a total of $265,000 was spent on the property maintenance. This is representing about 8% of total expenditure. The next category is just office. The cost amounted about 295,000 or 10% or 28,000 increase year on year. Mainly is due to the accelerating of depreciation because of anticipation of the A&A works. This category accounts about 9% of total expenditure. The next one is congregation expenses. Spending in this category was maintained at similar level of FY23, totaling about 780,000, and is accounted about 25% of our total expenditure. Last year, we expend a small amount of A&A expenses. Total is about 38,000, primarily is for the legal and professional fees. And obviously, as we going to embark on A&A, we anticipate a higher expenses in this category in coming periods. Yeah. Synod contribution is what we give to the synods as a contribution. This is represent of 2% of our total general and general collection, and the amount is slightly decreased by 2,300 or 5%. This is due to the lower general income category. And then last category is miscellaneous expenses. We saw about 24% or 141,000 decrease. Largely is due to reduced losses on investment disposal, and this category accounted about 15% of our total expenditure. The last segment of ORPC financial overview is the balance sheet. For those who less familiar with finance, the balance sheet is structured around a basic accounting equation. Practically, it's our asset, which is equal to liabilities and or equity, right? Since generally in ORPC we have a very low liabilities, predominantly is represented by our asset on one side, and the other side is our fund. So if we look at the slide here, there's two chart represent the asset, and as well the blue color is asset and funds at the purple color. Asset, if you can see, remain healthy. We have a total balance of 37.5 million, primarily comprising in our investment and cash and bank balances. While for fund and reserve, we have a total about 23.2 million in accumulated income. Out of this, 1.3 million is designated for mission and other specific purposes, such as ED1 fund. And in addition, we have accumulated about 5.8 million in our A&A fund that we started on the, the fundraising last year. The remaining balance in our fund is recorded under asset reserve. This reflects as a net book value of our premises that we are in now, 3 Orchard Road. Lastly, let me briefly summarize the financial result for Drummond Trust. The full report is available in page 83 and 108 of annual report. This is just to share what we review on the Drummond Trust. Yeah. So if you look at it, okay, maybe it's a bit small here. Drummond Trust reported a net profit of 1.8 million. For the period of 1st January to 31st December 2024, an increase of about 956,000 or 109% compared to the previous year. This result is driven by 814,000 in interest and dividend income. It's up for 21% compared to the previous year. And after deducting 154,000 in trustee and audit expenses predominantly, and accounted for 1.1 fair value adjustment. That's the reason why we receive about 1.8 million profit. As of year end, the total fund stood about 19.7 million, primarily is in investment in bonds and equities. So this concludes my presentation on the financial highlight of ORPC Endowment Trust. We give thanks to God for His continued faithfulness and abundant blessing to us. And we extend our heartfelt gratitude to all the members and worshippers for all your faithful tithes and offering. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Samuel, for that presentation. Now we give 10 minutes for any Q&A. Kenneth in the back.
Yeah, thank you. On the fixed asset, we reported, as you reported, there is 8.3 million carrying amount in the books, of which the bulk of it go to the freehold land, 6.5 million. As we understand, the land is a so-called a grant. So, in a way, are we by reporting a 6.5 million, are we saying that we have the ownership of this property? That's the first question. It's on page 31. Sorry, it's annual report, page 174.
Page 48, right?
74. Notes to the financial statement.
Okay. So what we have is for this 3 Orchard Road is actually a historical thing that we have a grant to use these properties. And I think there's one exercise when we did the valuation, and that is what we value this thing, right? So, and under that statement or under that chapter, there's a what you call it? Lost the word. Actually, we have to.
Kenneth, can I have your question again? I cannot hear it very well.
I'm asking, first question is, we show a 6.5 million carrying amount under freehold land. As we also understand, during the A&A project, Town Hall, the land is grant. Right?
Okay,
so,
thanks.
Wait, let me finish.
Yeah.
So,
Your next question?
so by carrying the 6.5 million, does it mean that we own this piece of land and not a grant from the...
No, you're right, that is a grant, and we don't own the land. And this, I believe that it was a revaluation at one time that was carried out many, many years ago. So it's a non-cash item. So actually, this is a non-cash item that's carrying in the revaluation at that point in time, which I think that, you know, if you look at it, I don't think that you have done, taking into consideration that this is not our land. But it's just a revaluation that's been put in there.
So after the A&A, are we going to continue to carry this amount in the books going forward?
I think we can carry or we can, you know, write it off because it was a non-cash item. It's just a revaluation done many years ago. I think it went before my time as a leader.
So are we suggesting that with this amount, we will be deemed to be the the owner of this land?
No,
probably that's my
no, but it's a
question.
non-cash item that had just a revaluation that was being conducted and then put in the books.
If the house is not yours, it's not under your name, can you revalue the house?
Like I said, it had been revalued a long time ago, and I think that if you look at today, based on what we know, on that we don't own the land, we shouldn't have revalued. Okay, and I
Okay,
think
thank
that,
you very much.
If let's say if I take a bank to look at it, the bank would look at it as this is something that you cannot pledge to the bank at all, because we don't own the land.
Yes, I agree. Revaluation in this case is just a
Yeah.
paper number. Okay, then go on to the next two category, the freehold building and the church building extension, which carry amount of 1.4 million. So with this A&A, this project, are we going to write off this 1.5 million?
Yeah, so we are actually doing an exercise now to review all our asset value. So for example, using an example for your site, the column for the third column, church building extension, is actually referring to the Dunman Hall. So generally speaking, if we're going to turn down the Dunman Hall and we rebuild that one, this value will be so-called written off. And then as we start the development, whatever the cost that we're going to spend on that particular extension, that is going to be capitalized at the end of the A&A with whatever the value that we're going to accumulate it, in the next 1 or 2 years. Yeah. Does that answer the question?
Yes, thank you very much. Chairman, can I have your permission to go on for 2 questions, basically 2 questions. Okay, this is referring to the Diamond Trust. Firstly, even at this moment, I'm not too sure what is the relationship between ORPC, the church, which is a legal entity, and a Diamond Trust, which is a separate legal entity. All right? So bear that in mind. Then I'm referring to the article of Constitution, Article 6.1. Okay, here stated that the following matters shall be reserved and decided in a congregational meeting of members. First, financial year's accounts and annual report of ORPC. So my question.
So can we take one of each of our questions separately? I will answer your first question. You are saying there was the relationship between ORPC and Diamond Trust. Is that correct? Okay, the Diamond Trust was given by us way back, and it's a trust that is given for the use of ORPC. On the income can be used for the expenses of ORPC. So if we look at it there, the accumulated income of our 8 over million can be used for ORPC, the operating income, or for the operating expenses. And in the past, it has been done. Some years, there were about 500,000 transferred to ORPC, like in the year 2006. So that's one. And the trust is under the our corporate treasurer, and all the property and the trust is managed by them. So that is the relationship, but the trustee is appointed by the session, appointed by us. So we have a right to look at the accounts and see whether we think that the accounts, we are satisfied with it. So we are actually monitoring as well. ORPC, the leaders are monitoring what is happening or what is done and whether it's done properly or not. So that is one of the reasons as the beneficiary, ORPC, that's what we are doing, to also approve their accounts as well in that sense. They sign it, but we also looking at adopting it for our annual report. So, have I answered your question?
Yeah. So far, I'm clear with your explanation, but what you are saying that the income, which potentially is ORPC, is the interest beneficiary
Yeah.
of the trust, or so-called the fund.
Yes. ORPC
Okay.
is a beneficiary.
Yes, interest beneficiary. So it is not the legal or ultimate beneficiary or ownership.
What you mean by ultimate? We are the beneficiary. So
Interest, as you say, the income
yes.
from the fund, from this trust, it can go to ORPC. Or
That
rather,
is, you have to look at the trust deed. That's what the trust deed have specified. That beneficiary is ORPC, but we can only use the income from the trust as ORPC operating expenses.
okay, thanks. I think that is a part we are not, or at least I'm not too clear, that the trust did specifically mention that
Yeah.
ORPC, all right, is the so-called beneficiary.
Yeah.
Okay, at least I'm clear, so I can consider whether to approve or the second resolution. Okay, but even then, back to this Constitution 6.11, talking about financial year, accounts and annual report of ORPC. Shouldn't it be considered to be including Diamond Trust?
Sorry, I didn't catch your word. I'm getting old, so can you just repeat that?
Let me go next to you. Okay, the Article 6 of Constitution stated that the congregational meeting shall decide firstly the financial accounts and annual report of ORPC.
Yeah.
It seems to not, it seems to deem that this meeting does not need to approve or authorize the trust account. Am I right?
I think you are getting very technical. Okay.
No, it's not technical. I mean, we are
one
technical
is that,
anyway
yes,
this morning.
Here we are approving ORPC annual report. And we are also going to adopt the trust account. So is there an objection to it?
Sorry, my hearing also a problem. What is your last statement? What is your last statement?
Are you objecting that we cannot adopt the trust account?
Yes, according to the article of the Constitution.
Okay, then we don't adopt it. But you know, the thing is, here we are as a trustee, we are the beneficiary. As the beneficiary, I'm suggesting that for us to adopt it into annual report, we should do it. Okay, it's into our annual report. Not approving the account because it's already approved by the trustee.
Okay, I think that's definitely more than 10 minutes. All right. If there are no further questions, may I ask you to indicate your vote on the voting slip. The voting slips will now be collected and counted by assigned leaders in the vestry. With the vote counting process duly witnessed by our external auditor, Deloitte and Touche, LLP, and the results announced before the end of the meeting. So let's pause for the collection of voting slips and the groups to make their way to the vestry. I'm sorry. I jumped. I jumped. Third resolution. Agenda item 3.2. The next item is the agenda to reappoint Deloitte and Touche LLP as the auditor for the Church Endowments Trust, and to authorize the Board of Management and the church to fix their remuneration. May I have a member to propose this motion? And may I have your name, please? I see Elder Chung Lai Hong in the back. May I have a seconder? Andrew, Deacon Andrew. Thank you. All right. The motion has been duly proposed and seconded. You may indicate your vote on the voting slip. Now, the voting slips will now be collected and counted by our assigned leaders in the vestries, with the vote counting process duly witnessed by our external auditor, Deloitte and Touche, and the results announced before the end of the meeting. So, while the votes are being collected and then later counted, I would like to give now an update and a bit of a forecast into the ministry of ORPC in the next 1 to 2 years. As all of us know, the mission of ORPC is to know Christ and to make him known. We keep that as our compass, directing us and guiding us into the future. And the way we're going to accomplish that mission is to build a disciple-making church. And what we mean by disciple-making is that hopefully we can equip and train leaders, people, who can then train others in the succeeding generation. That's what a disciple should be and to do, so that there's a perpetuation of the Christian faith from one generation to another. And this is a very important thing because we are looking long term. And God has been faithful in this church over the last 168 years. The strategy on how we will endeavor to do or to build a disciple-making church, the strategy is quite simple. We will build a large group meeting, namely our 2 worship services, and if you include GPO, they have their worship services. It's important that we have a vibrant worship experience week in and week out. I believe the Lord has been very faithful to us to help us build a very meaningful worship experience over the years. There are many things that we can do to improve, both in terms of the music and the preaching and otherwise the teaching of the church. But we have come a long way. So having a large group meeting is very important. The second component to developing a disciple-making church is to have small groups. In other words, for a large worship service like ours, peaking at 500 or more, It's really hard to get to know people if you just come to worship service. We are endeavoring to build small groups, discipleship groups, in sizes of no more than 12, 15 people large, in order to really get to know each other and to care for one another. The caring of members cannot just be relegated to the senior minister or to the pastoral staff or to a committee. It has to be all hands on deck, and it should be the effort of all members involved. So we need to build more small groups, and that's why over the years we've been emphasizing that now. I'm happy to say that at this point, of the people who have been coming to worship service, we have roughly around 60% of our regular worshipers in a discipleship group or in some kind of a youth group or children's ministry group. Our endeavor is to raise that average to 100%. But in the next 2 years, while we are away from this site, we would like to benchmark that to be around 70%, raise it by another 10% over the next 2 years. Eventually, once we have stabilization of these small groups, and once we have enough leaders coming from these small groups, we will then kick off on the third component of a disciple-making church, which is one-on-one disciple-making. People who will take another person or two people alongside of him or her to read the Bible in small group to train them in disciple-making so that they can in turn disciple others. These are the three main aspects of building a disciple-making church. And so you can see on the third component, we still have a long way to go. But we're making gains, improvements on the first, we're making improvements on the second, and eventually, years from now, we will hopefully be able to do one-on-one disciple, if not already happening at this point. Like I said before, for a church to be developed into a healthy or a strong church, that is only going to be to the extent of the quality and the quantity of spiritual leaders that we have. So disciple making require a strong pastoral team and elders and deacons. On that note, obviously we have to work in that area in the coming years for a number of years. What we need to do, since many of us here are aging, we are an aging church. Most of our leaders are into our 50s, 60s, if not already into 70s. All right? This is a challenge for us. In the next 2 years, we will hunker down while we are away from here and begin to develop younger people to step in as ministry leaders and as deacons, so that when we return back to ORPC here at Dhoby Ghaut, we will hopefully have a new wave, a new generation of deacons at least to rise up and to take the church forward. That is our goal while we are away from Dhoby Ghaut, from this venue. So with a DMC, with a disciple-making church, our focus is on worship, experiential worship, effective teaching from God's Word. We have our CE committee, which focuses on education and equipping and training, from children's ministry to youth groups, young adults, and into adult age. Our CC committee, which is congregational care, focuses primarily on caring for one another and building large group networks so that people have a way of connecting with one another. One area that we will definitely have to tap on and to develop in the years to come is our outreach efforts. We're not quite there yet because we're building on 1, 2, and 3 in order to get to number 4, which is do outreach. It's very hard for us to expand and do missions locally and abroad if we don't have strong leaders and a strong church in order to support that ministry. But make no mistake, that is an area that we will have to develop. I want to report at this point in terms of our small groups, our discipleship groups. From January 2024, we have 423 people in discipleship groups. By the end of last year, we had 474, and by the end of May this year, we have 504 people in discipleship groups. These are the platforms where we work and care for one another. Currently, as far as January 2024, we had 445 DGs, and as of the end of last year, we had 48 DGs. So things are moving and expanding. Now let me go a little bit, dive a little bit deeper into each of the key ministry committees' work. In terms of worship, WorshipCom has been working very diligently, preparing not only for the move to come, because that is the one area that will be impacted the most when we move away from here in this venue. We will continue with the AM worship service as well as a PM service, and maintaining the quality of the worship experience, the music, and hopefully improving even more on our preaching. That is something myself as SM have to do to make sure that there is consistency and continuity in terms of the quality of the preaching week in and week out. We are working hard in that area. So I want you to know this is something definitely on our radar. In terms of Christian education, in terms of the, especially for the children's ministry, which we call CM ministry. We're very thankful, and I'm happy to report to you, by July of this year, we will onboard a new CM pastor to return to ORPC to become the new CM ministry pastor. I won't mention the name yet because it hasn't been publicly announced, but she is on board and will begin in January. In July. The official announcement of her identity will come in the coming weeks. We're very happy about that. Sockham will also continue when we move to Suntec. We believe we have found a venue to hold Sockham in person, and that is at the FES area, which is about a 10 minutes walk from Suntec. So we will continue to be able to host around 50, 60 people for Sockham on a monthly basis. And then in terms of our YM and YA, which is youth ministry and young adults ministry, those are consistently supported by our pastor for youth ministry, Pastor Wei Liang, working very diligently to work with our young people. And I'm also very happy to mention to you that we have also recruited an additional youth ministry worker for the congregation, for the Indonesian congregation, whose identity will not be revealed yet, but he will start in July as well. So we are really reinforcing our pastoral staff. In fact, hopefully, we will have both of these youth pastors working in collaboration with one another to enhance and to strengthen the youth ministry, both for English and Indonesian congregations. So those are updates. And then, of course, for CE, our premarital ministry there. Since we are moving sites, lately we've been having many, many marriages before we move out of this area. I want you to know that we have made significant changes in terms of our premarital counseling and preparation. We've been using the tool called Prepare and Enrich to help our young marrieds, or at least engaged couples, to know more about themselves and the relationship to one another. And then we walk them through to help them to understand the weaknesses and their strengths, and the areas on how they can improve in preparation for their marriage. That is, in terms of the pastoral staff is concerned, we have been given a lot more attention in that area to help develop our premarital and our newly married couples. And we've been having quite a few couples getting married in recent months. That is all on the CE side, the Christian education side. In terms of our pastoral care or congregational care ministry, you can see we have a very active visitation ministry team, lay leaders as well as pastors going out to visit the sick, the needy, and the lonely. As I have mentioned, we have also developed and expanded our DGs. What we are now endeavoring to do is to expand our DG ministries by putting our 45 DGs into 5 different zones, dividing them into zones. So in other words, each zone could have 3, 4, or even up to 5 DGs. And in these zones, they're overseen not only by a pastor, but a number of pastors or a pastor and then lay leaders. So in my zone, we have 3 DGs. So we have elders and we have a pastor overseeing these DGs. And then what we are doing now, and it will be formalized in our upcoming session meeting, that we are now basically structuring our church, not only in terms of our overall worship in DGs, but also in zonal areas, so that these people will be cared for, visited, as well as to be followed up on, with specific elders and pastors assigned to these zones. And then these zones will also, especially when we are away from Dhobi Ghat, will also meet for fellowship. This is very important that the church has ample time to meet with one another, face to face, have fellowship while we are away to stave off attrition from the church. Zonal fellowship. And then starting next year, we will also renew our, I guess we will also put back our summer camps, church camps. So next year, we already have a site for camp here in Singapore. I don't know if we can say the place yet, since it's not signed yet. It's already been passed through session. The next year's camp will be here in Singapore. For 2027, it will be overseas, all right? So we will reintroduce camps. But this year, we will not have a camp because we will go into the wilderness pretty soon. All right, so that is what is happening with congregational care. We are also introducing into our DG, our discipleship ministry, disciple-making church, the idea of intergenerational connection. In other words, we don't want to segregate different age groups from one another. We want to get and combine our age groups to be in a single worship area. So now you see more youth coming in more and more often, frequency coming into our worship service. We will increase that, so hopefully by the end of the year, all our youth will be in the worship service on a consistent basis, all right? We will have common living in terms of integrating our youth into, hopefully, as well as our zonal areas for fellowship, so that ages are not segregated into old, middle-aged, youth, and young adults. There will be much more intergenerational interaction in the years to come. As I said, our DGs, the number of worshipers worshiping at this time, approximately 60% are in DGs. By the end of 2027, when we come back to Dhobi Ghat, we endeavor to raise that number to 70% and eventually to 100%, okay? So we are working hard on that. In terms of our M&E, Missions and Evangelism Committee, SYNOC has recommended the theme, not recommended, mandated the theme for the next couple years entitled Strengthening Faith, Family, and Mission in a Digital Age. So what we are doing is really consistent with what Synod is directing all the churches, the 36 churches to go, is to put our emphasis and to reinvigorate missions evangelism, both locally and abroad. So in the next year, if not over the next 2 years, M&E committee will have to develop a clear vision and focus on our overseas involvement, especially our churches in the Philippines, how we will partner with them, to what extent will we support them. That will be an ongoing dialogue. So we endeavor to continue to support those ministries, but what is even more important and urgent on our radar is for us as a church to develop local evangelism, local outreach. So in the next couple years or so, we will have to consider our partners, ministry partners here in Singapore, whether it is with partnering with the PCS, with the Presbyterian Preschool Service, or with elderly care, or whatever the case may be, so that when we come back to Dhoby Ghaut, our newly expanded facilities will be able to accommodate outreach and support to ministries here, even in Singapore. We need to identify what those ministries will be, and that is on the plate for M&E to determine in the next year, if not 2 years to come. Now, I would just say a few words from my heart. In the next 2 years will be quite challenging for us. We will be away from our home, our comfort zone here in Dhoby Ghaut, and in this very nice venue, where we have been for a number of years, where we are comfortable, where things are very convenient for us, because we are moving out. We are moving out to facilities and venues which are not going to be the same as what we have now. This will be a challenge for all of us. In other words, we have to get out of our comfort zone and maybe downgrade our expectation a little bit. So congregational retention is on our radar. We want to be able to maintain our membership, to care for them, and especially to make sure that they come back to Dhoby Ghaut with us in 2 years. We are thinking about how we can do more effective ministry to remain or to retain our membership in the years to come. I won't go into the specifics, but when we plan in the next 2 years, this would be a high-ticket agenda. Obviously, expanding and developing our DGs will be paramount on our agenda, because we will not have very many opportunities when we are at Suntec to see each other face to face. We won't have a Dunman Hall per se to go in and have coffee or to have breakfast and see each other, even if it's just for a few minutes. At Suntec, once the service is over, another service will be coming up. There will be a lot of setup and tearing down. We may not even have the facilities to meet up with one another. I want to encourage all of you, in order to maintain contact with one another, make the initiative, take the initiative, and go out to lunch with one another when we move out to Suntec. That will have to be on you to make those opportunities available. And find a venue where you can meet with one another, even if your DG does not have a place to meet at this point. That is a challenge for all of us. It will be on all of us to care for one another even more so. Thirdly, in the next couple of years, we really have to focus on leadership succession. Succession for ministry, SM, in terms of recruiting new staff members. You can see we have 2 additional staff members coming on board. We also have a number of younger seminarians, not only Dominic and Jillian. We also have not exactly a member, but an attendee of our church who will both be going to the United States to train for the ministry. And we also have in membership 2 who will be going full-time to ministry. I won't mention their names yet because they have not submitted their names for support at this point. But they are on board with us. So we are very happy to see a number of young people responding to God's call in terms of ministry is concerned. We want to support them. I want you to know, we want to support them. That is our mandate, all right? And so I trust in the years to come, these will be ongoing ministries, and we also endeavor to see, as I mentioned before, although we may not see a number of new elders being ordained into the ministry, into the leadership, but we need especially deacons to come in. We need young deacons to come in. You can see in PPC, what they have done is that they have targeted new and very young deacons to come on board, because in a few years, they will be ready to take on eldership in PPC, all right? And so we need to do the same thing in ORPC English and in GPO. And that will be our focus for the next couple of years, is to identify and to develop those potential deacons, to train them up. So when we come back, not only will we have a nice facility, hopefully we will be more united, we will be stronger to carry the ministry into the succeeding generations to come. And then, so we prepare. When we come back, we need to think about how are we going to do local outreach? What partners will we work with to see Singapore outreached, people outreach with the gospel of Jesus Christ? These are the main things that we have on our agenda item in the next couple of years, in preparation when we come back. But in the meantime, there are many challenges ahead in terms of movement, mobilization, preparation, training, fundraising, and membership retention. I ask for your faithfulness. I ask that God will continue to invigorate you, give you vision for not only for the next year, 2 years, but in the generations to come. May the Lord help us. That is my report to all of you. Now I would like to announce the resolution voting. For resolution number 1, we have 500 say yes. 500 voted, 499 said yes, 1 against. For resolution number 2, 500 voted, 497 voted yes, 1 against. Resolution number 3, 500 voted, 493 said yes, 5 against. So with that, I would like to say that we now we declare all 3 resolutions approved and carried. And this brings us to the end of this ACM, and I declare the meeting closed. Thank you very much for your presence. Shall we pray? Father God, we're so happy for the results. We look not to man. We look not to ourselves. We look not to approval from one another. But Father, we look to you because you are the author and finisher of our faith. You are our God. You look after us. You care for us. You have called us, and you will bring us through the finish line. And we commit this year and the next year and the following years to come. We commit them all to you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Have a nice afternoon.